What's going on, guys? It's GBP baby. Welcome back to another video. I hope everybody's doing well, and I hope to God no one got caught up in the absolute madness that PPI caused today. Now you can see we wicked up aggressively, trading into this bearish order block on a daily basis on dollar, and then it looks like we're about to close below yesterday's low, showing very bearish price action on dollar. Now, before I continue, I do want to remind you, make sure you join the mailing list. There is a link in the description. I will be sending out newsletters from June with links to live back testing. So make sure to join that. But yeah, let's continue. So obviously we had PPI today, very unpredictable news. I do believe there's manual intervention, meaning that they can literally price in wherever they want it to go. So there's only so much prediction we can do, but what's quite interesting is how we've now closed below this imbalance, which I was bringing our attention to earlier in the week. So if you've been watching my videos this week, and I hope you have, you'll know that I did speak about this in yesterday's video, saying how I liked how we came off it. You can see that we then traded higher, running out buy stops very aggressively during PPI, and have now closed below it. So what does that mean? The fact that we've closed below it says to me that price should now treat this as a bearish PD array. Why? It's not respecting it. It's not allowing it to give it support anymore. And this is indicating to me now that we should start looking for discount PD arrays, such as sell stops below here, consequent encroachments, and lows. And I'll get them all marked out for us in a bit to start getting traded towards. So let's get those all marked out. First of all, we've got the sell stops residing below here. We'll just use a red line, and we'll put daily low like so, and we'll make that red. And then I'm also going to bring our attention to consequent encroachment, and I did also talk about this at the beginning of the week if you watch Sunday's review, and we'll make that dashed. Don't need to bother write anything. And then same thing down here, we have another daily low depending on how overzealous price wants to get. Now remember, we have CPI tomorrow, so again, you really got to be careful. To be honest, if you're trading in these conditions anyway, I think you're insane. You don't need to be, but it's always fun to try and see where price is likely to head, right? So let's drop down to the 4 hour, and you'll see how we've had clear displacement closing on the downside, wicked up, grabbed buy stops above here, and traded into a breaker. Where's the breaker? Well, we have a high, a low, a higher high. If you've been watching this week's videos, you'll know about this down close candle and this low. So we traded into that as a breaker, and look at that crazy reaction off of it with PPI, and again closing below lows. So what am I looking at moving into the new day? Well, again, I'm now anticipating this range, this gap, to provide resistance. So if we do trade back into that, I want to see continued resistance to send price lower. If we go to the 1 hour, you'll see I've got my daily dividers, and we have a nice little swing high right here and a very small fair value gap. So let's say price does manage to wander on higher above this high. If we get above this high, I'd be expecting shorting opportunities on dollar with longs on the pairs, but it really depends what the Asian range offers us, and obviously what the London kill zone offers us as well. So that's something to consider. Let's drop down to the 15-minute, and you can see how we're just seeing this classic consolidation. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't even retrace. I wouldn't be surprised if we just continued on lower to run out those daily lows and then into that consequent encroachment. So moving into the new day, what am I expecting? I just want to see this daily low get taken out. I want to see if we can reach this, and then obviously I'll just simply wait, because again with CPI, I'm staying well away from the charts and simply just going to come back at the end of the day and see what happened, because it's not worth trying to, I don't even think it's worth trying to predict at this point. But at least we know we got these daily lows to get targeted, and with potential for this consequent encroachment. If we do trade through this consequent encroachment, mind you, so let's say we trade aggressively through it, it should treat it as resistance, and that can then allow us to start looking at this as a potential target, which would be crazy. But it very well could do so, because this high, which was created at PPI, that could very well be the high of the week. So take that into consideration. The fact that we're below the Sunday opening as well, moving into Wednesday, preferably we don't see price come back up there. So any kind of trade above the midnight candle may be an opportunity to be looking for shorts on dollar with long on the pairs. But again, don't trade, guys. It's CPI just after PPI as well. Let's now go to GBP USD. We'll start on the daily, and you'll see how we've been trading on higher. So there's a few things I want to bring our attention to. So you can see how we wicks down. We ran out Monday's lows absolutely incredibly, and then came off of those lows to trade on higher. Now there is an inversion fair value gap here, and I didn't talk about this So you'll see that we delivered here on the downside, and then price traded through it on the upside, and then you can see how we traded through it again on PPI, and look at that, it's just shot price higher like a rocket. So again, this is all saying to me, wow, it's refusing to trade through these PD arrays. This is allowing for support, isn't it? So that's saying to us we should start again looking for some kind of premium PD arrays to start looking towards. So what can we see? Well, we have a nice beautiful bearish order block up all the way up here to potentially reach for. So that's, put bearish daily, bearish order block like so, and we'll make that blue. And before we hit that, we obviously have this swing high right here for buy side liquidity. So I'm going to be looking to see, can price make it up into that? Now this is a very long wick, mind you. Let's see where the midpoint of it is, and you can see we're at the midpoint of that. So this should be a point at where we find support in general, but honestly I'm not really too sure on that. I don't want to speak too much on that. We'll just have to wait and see how price treats that level. But generally speaking, I want to see, can price continue on higher? What might be worth doing is looking at the 25% level though, which is this blue line. Let's get that marked out and just see how price acts around that. And the reason I'm only going to say that is because I don't know how it's going to act around it, but we'll see if it acts as it. We'll see if it gives it significance, and if it does, we all learn something, don't we? So let's keep that there like so. We have the 4 hour, and look again, if we look at the midpoint of that inversion fair value gap I was talking about from the daily, voila, volume's respecting it. The wick's done the damage, and then you can see we're pushing higher, just about taking out this high. And again, this is a rejection block level, so we very well could trade up into this level and find resistance, but obviously it depends on what dollar's going to be doing if it manages to trade on lower. So guys, we just have to wait and see. And again, CPI, I'm going to keep saying this, CPI tomorrow, I do not want to be involved. Like, yeah, let's go to the 1 hour. And again, what was interesting about today, and what I liked about today, was the fact that if you watched yesterday's video, so Monday's video, you remember me saying that I want to see Monday's low get traded through. Now we did trade to it, but we didn't trade through it, as in price clearly didn't want to continue lower. So what does that say to us? Well, one, it says it was a significant level because look, we traded to it, right? But look what happened when we traded to it. We came off of it. So that says to us that we're clearly bullish and not bearish. So that's something to take into consideration. And that's why we need to know what PD arrays we're trading to, because although we may not know how it's going to respond once it gets there, once it does respond, we now have a a bias or a confluence of price to say, okay, well, it didn't do what we wanted, but look what it did do. So now we can use that to kind of guide us moving on forwards. I hope that all makes sense. So yeah, here's those levels I've got marked out, and I just want to see continued bullishness basically until CPI, in which case I'm again going far away from the charts. Let's drop down to the 15-minute for the Bants. It came down, turned around after, below that Monday low, came off of it, and then I think this is just before CPI here, crazy, into the bullish order block, taking out all these stops, and then since then we've just been wandering on higher. So what am I looking at really? Well, you see this right here, I do believe this is the change in the state of delivery. These up 2 candles, let's go up, draw this out. This is the very lowest I want price to ever trade tomorrow if we're to remain bullish. And what I mean by that is that, let's say in Asia range we just start falling. If we're going to go anywhere, this is the very lowest I want to see price go, but preferably we don't even get down there. Preferably the lowest we go is like around here. I'd like to think that all of this rubbish that's happening over here, I'd like to think that it can provide continued support and we don't need to come back down here. But if we do, this is the lowest I want to see. If this gets disrespected, basically, then I'll simply be bearish again. It's as simple as that. If we trade through this yellow box, then I'm like, okay, let's look for these lows to get tagged, and potentially these lows. But so long as that doesn't happen, I'm pretty happy with my bias for these highs. So we really just got to be careful, guys. Let's finish up on Euro USD, and we'll start on the daily there as well. I've already got some things marked out. Now Euro's a little bit, well, a lot a bit uglier than pound for change. Now there was this gap I brought our attention to. If you've been watching my videos, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, go and watch them. And then I'll mark out the midpoint just to show where we traded to. So we've just closed the book. Well, not closed, but it looks like we're about, oh no, we're on the weekly, my bad. We're above the 50% level of this gap anyway, is my point. So as far as I'm concerned, this this level should now provide support for price. And when we go down to the lower time frames, you'll see what I mean. And I just want to see, can we continue on higher, obviously, if we're expecting to see a lower dollar. So if we move this higher, if we look at the midpoint of this long weekly wick, you'll see that the midpoint lines up with the top of this range as well. So how convenient is that? Let's go down to the daily, and you can see how we're just floating around that level. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if we did trade on higher, maybe trade to the top of it and then see a reversal or something. I don't know. We got CPI. I don't know. But that's what I'm looking at. Let's go to the 4 hour. Not really much going on here. Obviously, there's this massive void. I do like the look of this bearish order block right here. So I'll get that marked out and write 4 hour bearish order block. See if that gives us a reaction or not. But right now, price is just a state, and so is the world. And there's elections this year, and there's so much going on, and it's just not safe out here, guys. So, yep, we're floating around that midpoint. There's that 4 hour bearish order block. If price wants to continue on higher, it'd be nice to see if it can reach into that. Again, lowest I'd want to see price trade, honestly, is like this high. Any lower than that, this up close candle right here, I'm not going to be very happy at all. Again, that Monday low, I brought our attention to that. Why? I wanted to see price trade lower through it, but no, price was like, we'll wick to it and we'll use it to send price higher. So what's that saying to us? Well, we're probably going to see price continue on higher. Let's go to the 15 minute, and you'll see how PPI disgustingly came down, took out all of these stops to continue on higher. And like I said, we'll have to see how Asia trades and then move into London. If we're still not up there, we very may well create that swing. So that's going to be everything, guys. I hope you found it insightful. But remember, it was PPI today, it's CPI tomorrow. I'm pretty sure we got high impact news on Friday. There's lots of speeches this week. The world's about to end, and these charts, are absolutely disgusting right now. But that's everything, guys. Don't forget to smash like, join the mailing list in the link in the description, and drop a comment and smash subscribe. Peace.